permission to sign a release, then if you don't have it done, and then you have to call the guardian, and then you have to call the social worker, and then they have to change their schedule, and you're making more work for them, for the consumer and for the other professionals in the field. So overdoing something, over case noting, that's always better than saying, I'll do it later, here's half of it. I need to eat my own words, but I'm working on it. So taking time to ask questions, read policy. I mean, if you guys, it can't hurt. The state policy, it's a manual. You just, you can see what the state offers for both rehab services. And I did that the first 2 weeks of my internship. I kind of just read policy so I didn't look like an idiot walking into the door. What do you guys do? What are some things that you can't do? And then do some research. Like with the IPS program, that's such a good program. You have to have a mental health in order to be in that program. And what are some things that have worked? What are some situational assessments? What are some things that have worked so that you can offer that in a team meeting? Say, I read this and, this seemed to work with a bunch of different people because it just makes sense. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. And if you research now, if you get an interview with the state, and then you can see what they practice, perform, and preach, if they hear lingo that they use in their policy, then that'll be better for you to get the job because it's really, really competitive in the interview process to get a job with the state. Very, very competitive. And then so just taking time to process at the end of the day, realizing, things you could have done better, things you should have said, or all that kind of stuff. And what did your supervisor say? Be open to criticism, because I think that's how we all grow. Because it doesn't feel good to hear things that you suck at or that you don't want to do or that you don't want to spend time on. But when you hear those things, it kind of itches at you, and then something, and I think just changes and it just works. Things I wish I knew going into my internship: identifying barriers and developing vocational applications. Do you guys know what that means? No? Okay, I'll get to that. I just want you guys to this because I got to try to hurry up and wrap it up. During group process class and in your small group, are you guys doing that yet? Or did you do it?
Yes.
So, perfect example, even though I had this amazing education with drug and alcohol counseling, I would work with drug addicts and we'd have these awkward conversations, and I try to get them to be honest with me and disclose information, but I kind of always slipped over things. You never really want to ask the nitty-gritty about somebody when you're initially meeting them, because as a counselor, you're trying to build rapport. Number one thing you're trying to do is build rapport with that person. And so when you're asking them, because we only serve people with disabilities, what would you say your disabilities are? And once they say, well, you're living in commitment in a group home, and I would just write it down. I went at the beginning of my internship, I would say, so how did you get into commitment? What did you do? And of course, a lot of my caseload are schizophrenic people. And you guys, that is their reality. And it just blows my mind that I have to keep telling myself that everything that's coming out of their mouth, they believe to be is true. They don't even know that it's not. A lot of them. I mean, every case is different, I'm not saying that. But I didn't understand schizophrenia until I've been working with consumers with it. This guy came into my office and he went to the emergency room and the doctor just gave him a slip and said he was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age of 30. And then, he heard all the doctors in the office saying that there's, he's adopted and his whole family is this conspiracy that he's adopting his parents, but the scar 2 days ago just showed up out of the blue and his parents put a tracker in him. And you're engaging and you're trying to get to know this person, you've never met him before. You're like, what? How can we figure out if that's true or not? Who can I call? Who would know this kind of stuff? Like, in the back of your mind, you're trying to process and see how you could help them when all of it might not even be, but they think that it is. And so you have to work past that. You don't even engage in that. And so what are the good things? What are the supports you need? What has worked out for you? What are some things you're grateful for and you get past it? But like a lady that in her intake meeting, she lost custody of all 4 of her kids, and I just kind of wrote it down on our intake sheet. And my counselor was like, your intake meeting was 15 minutes long. You got through all the questions. She's eligible for our services, definitely, but you don't know anything about her, really. Why did she lose her kids? Why is she living in commitment? What did she do? How did she get in 3 car accidents? Was she under the influence? Does she have a criminal record? And I was like, and so I think I called and I said, in group process, I think it would be really good to have scenarios set up where you have to ask, where you have to, because it sucks if you meet someone and you want them to work with you. Why did you lose your kids? Are they going to lie to you? Are they going to tell you the truth? Like that, you're trying to figure out how they are and how that's their barrier. You have to pull the kind of the icky things out of people and then write it in this assessment of needs of how that's going to affect them on the job. So, especially if it was just recently, or if you've gotten 3 DWIs and all this, treatment if they don't complete treatment, that says something about them of how they could possibly act at work. And so I encourage you with difficult situations, are they on parole? What do they have to do? How often do they have to meet? Are they outpatient treatment? What do they think about outpatient treatment, And a lot of people appreciate it when you're real. You're not on your high horse. So are you going to treatment just to please a judge? And I'm like, yeah. There's a really good thing to put in your assessment of needs. And when Dr. Poole and I were talking earlier, and when you do this, when you case note for the state, you have to be objective, but at the same time, you're a professional, and your professional decision are in this assessment of needs, and other people are going to read it to try to help this person. So you have to be subjective and saying, this could be an issue, and this is the reality of it, but doing it appropriately, respectfully, and delicately, because they could request their records, and you can say, if they suck at, they can't tell the truth if they tried. You think they're ever going to see you again? So I think it's good to be objective and subjective. I talked about the LADC. 511 cases are the new thing. We can talk more about that later. I just want to show you guys what I wish I would have seen one of these. Just one. So here isn't, so you meet the person, you go through all this personal information. I can read fast. Do you guys want me to read it really quick? No? Don't read it?
Can you just make it bigger at the bottom? Yeah.
So you go through their disability and you write everything, so you don't have any medical records, nobody's in the office with them, it's just you and them, and this is your intake case note. This is, when you meet them, this is everything you have to put into the system. What's their housing situation? What services are they getting? Do they drive? We're supposed to ask if they have insurance. Because you should not reimburse somebody if they're driving without insurance. But that's your counseling style. Are you gonna ask to see proof, or I don't know. What's their criminal history? This guy told me he had this charge. He got a third degree meth charge because he walked outside of his house and a meth pipe was just sitting there. Poor guy. No, I looked him up. He and he didn't disclose any of this to me. I'm like, if I get you a job, an employer, and we have a criminal background check, tell me what I'm prepared to see. Didn't disclose any of this to me. And then you have to meet him the next time. And are you going to address it, or are you going to just let it go by and work with it underneath the scenes with a placement person? They can't work. If she want to get her CNA, she can't because she hurt someone and she's got theft charges and all that. So then you document what's their education status. Do they want to go back to school? Did they have an IEP when they were in school? Was math or reading harder for them in school? Because that tells you a lot too. What's their employment history? What's their history versus their interests? Because I'm all about, we want you to go to work happy. I want to spend time and money with you, and I want you to go to work happy. I don't want you to dread, I have to go to work just to pay bills, or just to, pay child support, or, you want them to sort of like what they do, which is why interest tests are so important. And then, so this is just a really vague barrier, and this is just a made-up guy. He struggles with insight, and I think that's almost in every case note I write. The insight to their disability is, if it's mental health, always. And I've even had, anyways, that's another. So he's really anxious. He didn't want to come here. That's going to be a barrier. What if he has to do a group interview? How's he going to do at a group interview for a job? The fact that he struggled just to get into my office and through the county building. And then at the bottom, there's things that you have to have in there with the state. You have to say we went over that. And in the beginning too, you have to say that we signed the Tennyson warning. We talked about disability 101s and his appeal rights and who my boss is, and that's stuff that has to be documented in your case.
So we have to brag a little bit here. So in her first month of her internship, her area director sends us an email saying how good her case noting was and how well her writing was. And then he went and shared that with everybody in their office.
And you know what's so funny?
Isn't that unbelievable?
I think I got a C or less on all my papers and stuff. But I think that was ADHD related.
Yeah, but he shared it with the whole.
Dr. Knopf wrote that on one of my papers. You mentioned that you're a scatterbrain on your papers, just like you are. Not you said it much nicer than that. Yeah. No. But that was really good feedback. Nobody had ever told me that. I read my papers, and it's totally just. I think that it looks good because that's how my brain is working. And when everybody else reads it, I'm like, why does everybody change my papers so much? Why am I getting so much feedback? And so when Dr. Knopf gave me feedback, I was like, whoa, I write just how my brain and my mouth is. it was really eye-opening. So then when I got into my internship, I was super insecure about my case notes, and I worked really, really hard, and I had my supervisor go over them every time before I submitted it into the, yeah. So,
And it was very well received.
Yeah, but I mean, it just shows growth and taking feedback and actually seeing that there's an issue and working on it. So this is the assessment of needs. This is why you're in grad school right now. This is why you're getting a master's degree. This is for this, right here. I'm not kidding you guys, I'm serious. So what, you address this right away. Are they eligible or not, and what services? And so this is like a thing that has to be in there. And this is a template that my supervisor gave me, and she goes, edit it the way you seem fit, but she goes, for the state, everything that's in here is what needs to be in there. There's extra things that she likes to know, because if you're gonna send this to somebody who's never met them and they're gonna try to get them a job, you wanna know, what are their interests, what do they suck at, what have they completed, what have they not completed, you know? He'd like to do a job that involved physical labor or food industry. Kind of both opposite spectrums. Why is that important? Well, if you keep reading, you'll see why that's important. You know, somebody might say that. He was a manager at a food restaurant for a long time, but he wants the money of working in a physical labor job. He thinks they make more money. So then you go, you try to pull, you have to pull out what their strengths are, and you have to find them, and sometimes that can be tricky. But yeah, so then you put their disabilities. So this is a good example of a person that's on Social Security. He was automatically eligible for services because through the state you get something that says that they get Social Security, and a lot of people might not know it. They might know it. If they get, it's crazy to me how some people don't know if they're getting hundreds of dollars a month each month, but some of them live in group homes, so that money just goes right to the group home to pay for the rent. And this is what he just disclosed to me. He's got like 7 other things now. I got his medical records back yesterday, and he's got another list. And it's just, and now I'm gonna have to amend this and adjust it and find how all these other disabilities are gonna affect him on the job that I didn't even know about, but what other physicians and therapists have seen. So the main part of the assessment of needs are these 6 areas. These 6, and this is how you find somebody eligible. Mobility. The first one is mobility, and when you go through this, when you start your internship, there's a paper that has it all really fine print of if you check the box or if you don't check the box. It's really pretty much, are they in a wheelchair, or can they get on a bus? Is there physical mobility issues? Can they leave their house? It doesn't have to do with like mental health, like agoraphobia. If they physically can get out of their house or not is what that means. Self-direction, and then it has all these little bullet things, and so you know, I don't really want to read it too because I read them all day long, but self-care, you know, do they have a rep payee? Is somebody paying all their bills for them? Are they in treatment right now? Do they have poor money? You know, are they afraid of solvents and don't take showers and stuff because of the chemicals and soaps? I mean, like, everything needs to be documented, and it's hard to do this without medical records, you guys, I'm telling you. Medical records are a big part of our job, and to understand it. Interpersonal skills, you know, this guy has such a high temper, and he loses his all the time. Like, he was in my office demanding that here's his car repair bill, and I have to pay it right now, because how's he gonna get a job if I don't fix his car? And I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, what makes you think that you can talk to me this way? Well, it's my disability. I mean, it's just crazy how you are trained to handle it and how much you learn in your internship by watching other people and their styles. And so if you see somebody handle that by saying, make another point when you calm down. If you like that style, then do that if that's what you're comfortable with. And if you're more comfortable with addressing it right there in the room and, you know, going over, making them sign a thing saying, this is how I'm going to act and be respectful towards you, this is how you're going to take the time to help me. So, I don't know, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Communication, I do. I don't know what I watch many people doing. Communication, this has to do with like reading and writing, and can they write their own cover letter? Can they communicate with an employer? He can communicate very well. He can advocate for himself very well. Work tolerance is will they need breaks on the job? You know, if they have chronic pain in their back, or if, I don't know, a lot of people need breaks to step away if they're struggling on the job, or from stress. If people have anxiety and stuff like that, they kind of just need more shorter breaks during the day or whatever work tolerance, and then work skills. What skills have they gained over the years? That would be, so this is probably the biggest thing that I'm still struggling with, and that everybody on my team knows that I struggle with, because I will get this whole assessment of needs done, and this part will be blank. My whole document will be done, and I'll be like 6 people behind, and I just get so intimidating with looking at all the medical I know about the person, and looking at how they treated me and how they fill out the application, and I just like try to process and think about it. But when you've never done this before, and you've never had to analyze and assess somebody like this, it's so hard. You almost feel bad saying that they're gonna struggle doing this, because you wanna help people, and we have such that they're gonna do good, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to help them. And basically you're saying like, here are the possible terrible things that could happen. Here's what's gonna go wrong. Here's how we need to address it. These are the supports that need to be in place in order for them to be successful. You know, the children can't be around. If they're a sex offender, trying to find somebody with a job that's a sex offender that has chronic mental health stuff that, you know, is aggressive, but it's your job to not be biased. You have, you know, ethics play a big role in that too, and that this is fair for them. You know, that you're not, what's pushing too much. You don't even know. It's just, these are so intense, and I think it just comes over time, because I wouldn't even do these at first. When my supervisor said, all right, do an assessment of needs, I was like, not ready yet. Nope, not doing it. And now I'm like, now I feel okay, and I found lots of templates. But so interpersonal skills, I put his anger is an issue with his ADHD, and it's a major concern at his workplace. He will cut people off when they're talking or trying to explain something, so he needs to be reminded to slow down and develop effective coping skills when he needs to focus and listen to instructions. If he doesn't like or agree with someone or something, he says he will not hesitate to respond with his honest opinion and not filter at all. It doesn't matter where he is in this, it is a major concern at work. He needs to practice coping and walking away when he's feeling a disagreement or frustrated with someone. He has just walked off the job before in this situation. His boss tells him what to do, flips him over and says, screw you, I'm out here. And so what am I going to tell the placement person that's working with them right now? Maybe she knows people that are laid back that can handle his personality, or you know what I mean? It's just, it's really hard to, I feel bad when I write these. I don't know why. I guess I'm still growing and learning, but this is the most part of your job. Being a rehabilitation counselor is your assessment of needs and being comfortable with them. And so I think Dr. Coleman, we had my exit internship meeting today, and my supervisor suggested that maybe we get medical records for you guys, and you can just learn the verbiage. You know, the other day, I had to read a doctor's note, and this lady had sensitivity to light. What's that called?
Photosensitivity.
Yeah, and I was like, I had to Google so many words because you don't know medical terminology. But how's that? What kind of place can they work in? If they get migraines from the light, you have to disclose that, because we're not going to pay thousands of dollars for somebody to have them go work at Walmart where the lights are constantly. You know what I mean? And so yeah, and then the state, none of us know why this is part of the assessment of needs, but you have to have current labor market information in this. So what if he wants to go construction, this is what it is, this is what it looks like. Daycare providers, nursing, you know, whatever, dishwashers. And then you have to have this in there that's part of the, you know, that this is explaining why this could be higher or lower because we're in a rural area. And then, is that person going to need help reporting once they get a job? Are they going to need help reporting their benefits to the county, to Social Security? Are they going to need some kind of planning? We need to know, because should we hire someone? Should we make them take a class? Should we have somebody come to their house? Are they going to need a rep payee so that it gets automatically to their paycheck and Social Security? You know, it's a lot of so many really responsible duties that all fall onto you, and you need to make it be known to the whole team, because the whole team that works with this person gets this assessment. And so do you guys agree feeling kind of the responsibility of this one piece of paper? Because I didn't even know this at all. Like, you learned this in internship. And then at the bottom, you can put their emergency, I obviously deleted everything. Group home workers, family members, you know, if their sister's their only support person, her information, emergency contacts. And then at the end of the plan, you have to put what services do we think they're going to need. And so here's all the services I approved to be able to pay for if he needs them. This is going to be a big one. And you still learn, you know, like I'm just new into this, you know. And then at the bottom, you have to have your counselor's professional judgment, and every counselor's is different. The counselor I'm covering right now, her assessment of needs is like 10 sentences. And Stephanie's my sheet over,